All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on what part of the country you are in. Jeff Lobb here at Spark Tank Media. Excited to join you for a few minutes at least. We're going to spend a little time today on talking about the Inman Connect 2019 recap from New York City. So there's always a lot of people in attendance, but there's always those who want to know what's happening, what's next, and what should I be paying attention to. So as we're logging in, give a few seconds to kind of gather yourself. If you're in a position where you can take some notes, fantastic. If not, come back to this. It'll be live. Make a few adjustments here as we share to a few pages, and we'll get some people joining live. All right, a few people jumping in now. Great. So if you haven't been to an Inman Connect, the team holds them in New York City. Always used to be one time in usually January, February, and then the West Coast, typically San Francisco in the July timeframe, now moved to Las Vegas for the very first time coming up. So if you've not been to one, you should be. It's one of those places where just about everybody who's anybody in the business attends. So it's about the content, it's about the speakers, but it's about everyone else who shows up there that you have access to. So we spent last week there. Let me make an adjustment on my IG. And for those who don't know, we're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on Instagram simultaneously. So hopefully the stream is going pretty good. All right. So what I wanted to share is, some of the things that were said from the stage, some of the things that were being talked about offline, some of the things that were being talked about from the vendors, which tech companies to be watching, and who you should be paying attention to. And this will also be a recorded platform, so we'll share this onward after the session. If you have any questions as we're going through, try and ask them. We'll try and pay attention to most of the questions. And then I'm going to ask if you were in attendance, if you were at the Inman conference, and there were some of your favorite takeaways, bring them. Type them in the box. I'll try and make mention of them now or towards the end, but I'll mention it a few different times. All right, so, there's a lot of different things going on. Moving Brad Inman always outdoes himself and his team, I should say. It's a team that gets this done to move mountains. It's a Monday through Friday event, from Indie Day, if you're an indie broker, to an agent session, to broker sessions, to Tech Connect, to Hacker Connect, and then, of course, a lot of main stage with marketing, CEO level content, really a lot going on. So while I got the chance to attend quite a few of those in and out of meetings and different sessions, we also gather a lot from the background chat of what's happening, what people are saying behind the scenes. A lot of times that's where a lot of the things are talked about. Hey, Cindy, I see you just joined us. So that being said, I'm going to start with let's talk about the main stage first. By all means, if you have questions, just ask. So main stage, the very first couple big conversations are the big CEOs that come in from the Realogies, from the Compass. And, we always want to hear what their thought process is, what's going on in their world. And some of you may say, look, I really don't care. Some of you really do care. You all need to care because it's always paying attention to where the ball is moving next. So even if it's just a snapshot of knowing what is happening in the market or what might be happening in your market, you should actually understand what the companies are doing, even if you're not involved in them directly. That being said, a couple things that were said from Realogy CEO Ryan Schneider, also being interviewed with Robert Reffkin, CEO of Compass, talking about what's really happening with the data of the companies, what's happening with your business itself. And I'll tell you a few things that Robert Reffkin was sharing was that he thinks that there's going to be an evolution of what's going to be left in the business. And I'll take a couple quotes of what he said. He said there's going to be basically 4 types of businesses kind of left at the end of this cycle, if you will. It's going to be the do-it-yourself model, the we do everything for you model, the seller-owner kind of business, or the micro-small boutique that is going to just be differentiating themselves. And then it's going to be the game of who can get the consumer's attention. So, I think there was a few things that were said on stage that were a little bit, let's just say, contradictory. Like example, Robert Reffkin made a statement that says, when you're in a business of real estate, it's about relationships, and you really can't buy people's companies, or you can't buy them, and you can't buy people. And I think Brad actually said it himself. He just straight out of says, isn't that your model? You buy and you acquire companies. So it was kind of a listening to things that were being said that were maybe totally contradictory of what is really happening. And, if you're in the model of buying companies and acquiring companies, that's fine. Why not just own up to it? While they did say they wouldn't be expanding into other markets this year, the Compass model, that they would be just simply trying to grow and expand their current bases of where they are currently now. So that's one thing. When it came to things that Realogy was talking about, and Ryan, really talking about where today's consumers are going, why we should be paying attention to our own corporate technology. It was a really big talk about, the companies are all building these systems for the agents, that we should be paying more attention to them as far as sources, lead tools, and lead generation versus the Zillows of the world. Now, in all fairness, I can understand why he'd say that, because obviously people are spending their money outside of the company, when obviously people are spending all this money in a company for products and resources. But you have to ask yourself this, and I can't say this on the stage because I'm sitting in the audience in this one, but you have to ask yourself the reason that if the agents or brokers are not using the tools that we're building, why? Either they don't work well, they don't like them, they don't trust them, or they're not delivering a result. So while companies, many of them, chase the big data, tech building monsters to create all of this stuff under one roof, I think it's a fine approach, but I'm not sure if it's going to get the adoption that people are talking about. And the big thing with adoption is you could spend billions. If agents don't use it or see the value in it, they're going to go elsewhere. So he did make a statement I will agree with. There is a big shift in the Zillow spend lately from top producers to viewing different results and less results. And that, I'm going to say, I've heard a lot of back chat on. Tons of people talking about less of a return from the Zillow platform. Now, I know they changed their model. I know they changed it once and flipped it back. They went to live calls, some stay live calls. There's a whole bunch of variances going on. However, many of the big producers that spend the big chunk of change were all talking about the pulling back or reinvestment of money from the Zillow platform into something else that might get a better return, dollar for dollar. Remember, it's about the return. My IG camera keeps moving here a little bit, so I'm going to try and hopefully stabilize it a little bit. I apologize for those guys on IG, and I'm moving my camera, trying to keep it stable. Sorry, man. So that being said, a lot of Zillow talk, a lot of big data talk, because let's face it, the compasses are building technology. KW, Gary Keller wasn't there per se, but they're chasing big technology builds. I know REMAX has stuff in the works, as well as EXP, which was another person that was in attendance. I'll share with you a few things from EXP. They had the pleasure. Glenn Sanford was there. Big time for them. They rang the NASDAQ bell. They're leaps and bounds growing a lot as their virtual model in many markets. A lot of teams and acquisitions going on with them. And they had a big presence there. And of course, there's been the KW EXP, let's call it, debate going on, or sometimes I'm just going to say it's an unprofessional battle at many times, where people are just throwing shots at each other. Glenn did have his get it on like Donkey Kong shirt, I think it was, to portray the whole, our business is like a video game, which he was being knocked about. So it was kind of fun. They made some fun of it, and it worked. So Glenn was there. I'll tell you a couple things from CEO Connect. CEO Connect, one of the things that I was able to get some good insight from was our friend Adam Contos from REMAX, CEO of REMAX. Not only is he doing a stellar job online, connecting, being present, video, attending events, I mean, just all around. He made he told a story, let's say, and it had a really good point that we all should hear, because I think the message was very clear. He was a Marine, U.S. Marine Reserves, I believe, And then he was part of a SWAT team. And I don't know the whole story of timing of that, but he talked about being under fire in one of the SWAT team events he was under. And he said that there was a couple shots fired at them and a bullet came between he and his partner, I guess went into a tree, and he looked at his partner and was, I guess, obviously the emotion of that. I can't imagine having bullets flying at you. And first of all, if you could feel that for a second, the distraction, the fear of all the stuff that's going on. But he made it in very simple correlation to real estate. It's while that bullet passed through he and his partner, in all perspective, it didn't hit him. He wasn't wounded. He was still able to move forward. And it was simply saying that we have to stop getting the fear factor of everything that's being thrown at us. Like, oh, this tech is going to put you out of business, or, oh, this AI is going to take away real estate agents, or all of this stuff that's being thrown at us, hence the bullets. Not nearly as dangerous, of course, but hey, it's our business and our lives. And stop worrying about the crap. I mean, it's happening. You can't stop it. You could dodge them, but don't get distracted by them. Focus on what you can control. Focus on getting rid of the noise. Focus on the core business of taking care of people. And we have seen technology in the world for a long time, and it has replaced many businesses. In this case, we know it's simply there in our world right now to either make our lives easier, or more importantly, it's going to make the consumers have more access to everything. So just pay attention and control what you can control, block the noise, focus on what you can. So I thought that was the story was awesome just to hear that part of the side of other people's lives. But that being said, it made a good point on how you should just not be distracted. Another fine CEO, and then we're going to share down and pare down, by the way, to all of the different tech vendors that were there. I'm going to cover quite a bit in the next half hour or so. But another very, very credible CEO that's out there today, just doing a stand-up job, is Sherry Chris. Sherry is known for being present, and I mean front and center all the time, on stage, off stage, at the parties, with you, side by side, with no fear, no animosity, no people to go through to get to her. And she runs the Better Homes and Gardens platform, also doing some stuff with the Climb platform as well, which is new. And she is always delivering her message. And so many people think that, oh, she's friends of Inman and she's this and that. And she pays for what she has to pay for. She invests in the things that are going to make their brand and her where she needs to be. And she's spending the time connecting with the people that matter. And the people that matter are sitting in the audience. So, hey, some new people jumping on. What's up, Jim? Out in Bend. I tried to do this for you guys on the West Coast too, by the way. I picked this time. So, so that being said, Sherry was out delivering her message about lifestyle, about branding, and about really everything comes back to this whole theme, if you will. I would say there was no magic hocus pocus technology that we should be feared of. It was really a lot of getting back to the basic stuff that we always should have been doing. We got distracted for all this stuff for so many years of all this tech. Yes, we'll talk about some AI stuff today, but AI is still AI. It's artificial intelligence. There's still things that are happening that are in the virtual world, but nothing that's threatening anything right now. So just focus on the business. Now, a few people that obviously, and there's so many people that I could mention, but I can only cover a few things. I mean, our friend Katie Lance did a fabulous new presentation on storytelling. She's amazing as a person, delivers a great presentation on also all things social. But at the same time, she was leveling up to a new presentation on social and attracting an audience with storytelling. And to me personally, everyone has a story. You need to know how to tell your story, and it's part of the sales process in today's world. So storytelling was a big thing. Another quote I want to take from on stage, our friend Heather Ostrom. She was on a panel. I'm not sure what day it was, but one thing that she said that we're preaching a lot in our business here at Spark Tank is work on your strengths. Focus on your strengths and put the people around you that fill in those voids, support you, and have those strengths that you don't have. Okay, basically find your weakness. Find your weakness and allow it to be known. I got to tell you, I'm totally sidetracked. on this one because you made me just think of this. We all talk about we have our strengths, but identifying your weakness, I think, is one of the biggest points we can figure out is what is it and how do I fix it? And while some of you may throw things at the computer when I say this right now, but as a Giants/Patriots fan, and obviously the Patriots of the Super Bowl winner last night, go ahead, start throwing things. I'll wait. I know a lot of haters. Just listen to the point, though. Focus is the LA Rams, their head coach, Sean McVay, right? If you watch some of the video, and I didn't know this, but I saw it on, maybe it was on LinkedIn at first, and then I couldn't believe it. Sean McVay, a young coach, obviously, unfortunately didn't win last night, but I love watching the younger generation come up and build and start to do things differently. He identified his weakness early on. His weakness, and I'm just making this assumption it is, and is kind of like in the realm of ADD. He can't pay attention to the things that are in his surroundings. He's so bouncing around with what's on the field. And if you watch video, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube. He identified his weaknesses. He would just be always so focused and bouncing around the plays and what's happening on the field that he would either end up on the field himself or running into referees that are coming down the field or hitting other coaches, like literally just head-to-head smashing. That's a problem. You can't have your head coach getting injured or on the field. So he literally has an assistant coach. He said, this is my weakness. I got it. I'm going to fix it. This is not, I can't control it. He has an assistant coach, and if you watch, that literally stands behind him at all times with his hands out by his hips and is either pulling him back, pushing him forward, or moving him wherever Sean needs to be when he's out of place. And that sounds ridiculous for a 30-some-year-old man. But I think it's one of the most magical things he did is he said, you know what? I have a problem. I can't fix this nonsense. I'm going to solve it. And he's acknowledging it. Imagine we just did that about our business. What's your weakness in business right now? What's your weakness in real estate? You know, is it your listing presentation? What is it? Is it your sales delivery? Can you tell the story? Do you have a story? So all that being said, sidebar to some football that happened last night. It's understand the weakness. So Heather, to go back to Heather and reel that back in, she was sharing about is just find the support around you, focus on your strength, and dive deeper on the strength. Last person I'll share on stage before I dive into some of the tools that were available and some of the vendors that were sharing was Alyssa Hellman and myself and a few others were on a panel. It was a unique one for me. It was called To Script or Not to Script, meaning should you buy into scripts? Should you use scripts? And, you know, we shared our opinions. She and I were on a very similar page for the most part. She was brought up in a little bit of a different market than I was when I was selling real estate too, but from the same mentality we were. And I'll share with you a couple things we both shared on stage. But, you know, she admitted, like, hey, when I was brand new and I started, like, I needed something. I didn't know what the heck to say. She wasn't afraid of anything. She just didn't know what to say. So you got to learn from somebody. So whether it was mentoring with somebody or whether it was following somebody around and listening to them, she admitted that obviously she was anti-script, like, because we think of the script as some telemarketer calling you and reading some nonsense. And to me, that's just annoying as anything. And I say, I feel the same way. Like when I hear the word script, I cringe. Like, I don't need a script. I've been in sales for how long? I don't need a script. If I can't tell you the value proposition or the benefits or my value, and what good is it? However, when you think about the script, if you kind of unbox the word, there's things that you need to put a foundation in place for people. So we talked about ways for people to learn what to say. And then, of course, some points we made were not only what to say, but how to say it, the tone, the confidence level, because people can tell if you are saying it with passion, if you say it with the real knowledge, or if you're pretty much just fluffing through. So it's not only what you say, it's how you say it. I added another depth to that by saying also, I think you need to understand when you're talking to somebody during the sales process, you have to think about at the very end, how do you want them to feel? What's the feeling you want them to have when you're done? So you're on a listing appointment, you're pitching them obviously on why they should use you and why your marketing's better and why they should hire you. Think about this. At the very end, when you walk out the door, how do you want them to feel? Like, that guy was confident. That guy has his marketing together. Wow. Like, what's the message? Or them looking at each other with, I don't know, I don't even understand what the heck he just said. So you want that feeling. So to me, it's about the storytelling, the feeling, and that level of messaging. The other thing we talked about is practice. And the word practice applies to so many sports and so many things we compete in. I mean, we are in a competition. Real estate, like it or not, it's a competition. We go on listing appointments to win the listing from you. If you're my competition, you're on that appointment. No offense, I like you, but I want to win. It's how I make my living. It's how I feed my kids. So it's a competition. It's not, some game, unless it's just a hobby for you, and that's okay. For me, not so much. But we do it nicely, right? We smile as we say it. So the practice. So we talk about all this stuff, and of course, I'll go back to some sports, but I don't care what it is, anything competitively. We coach, when I was coaching football and I coach kids lacrosse, or no matter what it is, somebody was talking about coaching swimming. You practice 3 to 4 hours a day, nights, weekends, early mornings. I think my son at college is up at 5 a.m. for lacrosse practice. They're at the gym at 10. They practice at midnight until midnight some nights. All for what? 1 hour of game time on a Saturday. 1 hour. And maybe after 1 hour, you're in for maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Maybe you get called for 2 plays. All that practice. Day in, day out, year in, year out, for your one shot on the field. How much do we practice in real estate? Think about it. We're going to potentially earn an $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 commission, sometimes $2,000 or $3,000, whatever it is, commission. How do we practice? Or do we? Or do we just wait till we get there and that's how it goes? I'm going to give it a shot, because guess what? The consumer, when they don't hire you, 99% of the time, they're not going to tell you why. They're not going to tell you you were really bad. They're not going to say that. No one tells you that kind of nonsense. So what do? How do you practice? It's embarrassing, or I don't have time. I'm sorry. Try and go join a sport and tell the coach that. It doesn't work. Yeah, in our business, it's our livelihood, and we don't practice. So that was our message from the stage, was practice, 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 but with the proper mentality and the really good, honest feedback that if you're willing to take it, right? So that's from most of the stages. There was still a lot of talk about Zillow and lead gen and realtor.com and zip codes and all that stuff. Nothing changing there. When it came to now talking to the vendors and the people that were in the tech connects and all that kind of stuff, the 2 big talks still are data management, which data is a mess, still always is a mess. We have so many different systems of data trying to come together. And then, of course, artificial intelligence. It's getting better. It's not replacing anybody anytime soon. So I want to cover, I took some notes on some vendors, if you will, some tips and strategies you might want to take to your clients, or things you might want to vet yourself. Remember, these aren't my companies, but these are some of the choices and people that I got to see where we spent some time with, talking about their business model. So the first one, and most of these were newer companies and some were definitely mature. You'll know them as you hear them. First one, really good domain name. I know they paid good money for it. It's called moved.com, as in, MOVED. So fairly new, on the younger side, startup-ish. They are kind of providing free concierge for the moving process. And what's funny is if you watch some of their video or some of the promotional stuff, everyone expects in today's world is some automation, some bot, automating, finding this, find that. It was kind of the opposite. You actually get a human to actually walk you through, booking a mover, not just their movers. They represent several different proposals for every area. They'll get you proposals, different markets, different areas. So they will help you with that, packing materials to finding painters and storage things and bins and whatever else you need for the moving process. They're obviously monetized probably from the vendor side, but for the consumer, it's free. So it might be something you look into yourself, as maybe, I would say, look, don't put it in front of your customer until you talk to them, vet it yourself, try them yourself, get on the phone with them. None of this stuff I would talk to my customers about until they were properly vetted. But definitely something you might want to put in front of your customers as a free concierge to help them through the process. And for those of you who have moved in the past recently, what kind of a hot mess it is. I would probably want someone to help me with some of the stuff as well. Even though I have my own contacts, my own painters at times, there's times you just don't have that one or two things that you think, you need. So moved. Going down the list, someone that I'm actually going to get the chance to meet in person this week, this company called Jane.ai. Jane.ai is a bot. It's her name. She's Jane. It's like having basically Siri or an automation for your data, for your stuff in your office, for the stuff in your real estate business. Now, this isn't something like an agent just goes buys an app and just downloads it and it works. This is something you would have to integrate to your data system that you have at your company. I know that we're talking to one of our mortgage partners on this and some other ones. It's basically, the premise would be this: when it's integrated into my data and it's built into our company platform, Jane simply fetches things and finds things for me. So a good example, I might just go to my phone and ask Jane, hey, what's the latest comps for a single family home in 07860? Jane will fetch it, bring it back to me. Or, hey, Jane, did Mary Johnson sign the document yet? And it would go fetch and see if her document was there. Was it signed? Was it not? So Jane is a data fetching person, bot, if you will. I guess she's a female if you're a bot. Didn't know if they're going to decipher that yet. But anything from finding your schedule out to pulling documents to, can you check on this for me? It has that ability to go find and pull in the kind of content you want. A lot of companies are going to start using it because it'll help with just paperwork, human resource issues, stuff on the fly, pulling your comparables while you're driving even, I guess. You could talk to Jane. So Jane.ai is a bot happening in a lot of different verticals, but they happen to be in the real estate space now as well as other real estate related spaces. So that's Jane. Now, one of my favorites that I enjoy talking about, because I used to talk about them and then I kind of had to stop. I'll tell you why. So ReCap, I didn't bring in my camera today. I should have had the darn thing here. I left it in my other office. So ReCap, R-I-C-O-H, the camera, the 3D 360 camera that has two lenses, like one on each side, basically shoots a full 360 tour with one photo, but does video as well. And ReCap had a product out called the Theta S. It's Theta, T-H-E-T-A, Theta S, several years ago. I actually remember being on Inman's stage when it first came out. I brought it out live, interviewing several tech companies, and it was shooting a full 360 of the room in live video time. It was awesome. It was simply saying, hey, I can do now 360 tours as a DIY, do it myself, not have to spend a fortune using this simple little camera. And the problem and the thing it was lacking was the software, meaning it took a great 360. It was beautiful. But what do I do with it now? It uploads it to the ReCap platform, and then it was just there as a 360 tour of the room. But I had no other software to connect it to the bedroom or the bath or make a tour out of it or anything if I wanted to connect any flowing tour. There were several companies that tried to pop out and integrate with it and make the software, and it just some reason never came to fruition. Till finally this year, ReCap comes out with their own software. So there's ReCapTours.com is what it is, R-I-C-O-H, tours.com. And they sell their own ReCap camera, the newest ReCap camera, by the way, and I believe the S will work, but the ReCap Theta V as in Victor is the newest one. They did tell me my S would work. Get a little skinny monopod, shoots the 360 tour, but now their software takes you through a true tour. I can drag and drop each room. I could link them together with little hot buttons. So if I want to go from the bedroom to the bathroom and to the kitchen, very, very clean, concise software to make it work. It's $45 for the software, like $45 a month for the platform. Unlimited virtual tours, unlimited 360s. And I even questioned, I'm like, come on, is unlimited? Like I could have 50, 100, because a lot of them always had caps on the amount of storage you had. ReCap saying no, $45 unlimited. I got to believe it's going to be grandfathered. They're also MLS compliant, so they can have a non-branded version. It's shareable on Facebook. It's embeddable on Facebook. So now they finally took the camera that was the hardware, meshed it with good software, and boom, you got it. The equipment, I think they have it on sale for $399 for the camera and the monopod. It's probably retailed at $6 and change, but you might find, the Theta S, or you find it on Amazon. It's probably in the same ballpark, but look for their promotions, $399-ish for both. But this is now where you could differentiate and have your own controlled 360 tours. Do it yourself, push the button. I always take 2 shots just in case, but once you upload it into the cloud, you could put the tour together by simply linking the rooms. Lots of other features that go with it. Check them out. Excuse me. They were just one of my favorites because I felt like I could bring this back again and bring it back to life since it kind of had to die off. All right. This one's for you guys that are investors, deal with landlords, residential builders, really could be anything, but it's called, I'm going to try and get this one right, Zonomics. Zone, Z-O-N-E, O-M-I-C-S. What they do is they take zoning now to a different level. They found a problem in the system. They found data issues. I'm sure it's not perfect everywhere, so don't stress out over everything being perfect. It is what it is. It's data, but they're trying to do a better job at it. And what they're doing now is they're taking the property level information, literally by zone, by area, by territory, telling you what that particular property is zoned for, what the land use is, what's permitted, if it's an investment property, how is it rated, giving you zoning information that may be well beyond sometimes even your public record, maybe beyond, may take you 5 or 6 different places to go get it all, or some of your towns don't have it, at least readily available. So it's consolidating everything. The one thing I got my attention was, I believe they said, and I want you to do your diligence on this one, but it also will give you permitting information or people applying for permits. So if you're looking at maybe developers, if you see a developer applied for a subdivision or permits for a large development, that might be the connection you need to get in the door sooner than later. People making massive improvements might be getting ready to sell the property. So these are triggers that I'm thinking about. Let's face it, they're not built around a sales mentality. They're built around data. I think like a sales mentality is, how can I use this as a lead source or a potential lead source to connect with maybe homeowners of those buildings, or should I be connecting to that building because maybe something's going on? Either way, you might just have to be really smart at what you do when it comes to commercial or investment properties. Y'all should be, and you should have the data readily available. Zonomics seems to have that data, so you might want to check them out. Z-O-N-E-O-M-I-C-S. Cool. I got people plugging from different directions. Nikki, anybody, is everything going okay out there on your end? All right, cool. Just making sure the streams are good while I'm going, because I haven't seen anybody screaming. They haven't been able to hear me yet. All right, so I'm scrolling down through some stuff now real quick. Let me take a breather. Yeah, Alyssa with the practice. Absolutely. I got one from Rico Tours. Good. There's our friend and dear, lovely partner of ours, Tiffany Schellender, which happens to be my wife, posting in here as well with some names as well. And so you don't have to write these things down as I spit them out, because some of you were listening on the road. What's up, Lynn? So as we go, I got a bunch more. It gets even better and better and better. So Zonomics, favorite of mine, saw them back again. They're enhancing their data. Real mailers, real mailers, R-E-A-L mailers. Look, direct mail still works. Direct mail is not cheap. Many of us screw it up because we don't have a good call to action. But besides all that, a lot of times you're always stuck saying, hey, I got to mail 50 homes, 500 homes, and you got to blast around a street or a circumference or whatever it is. And that's just the way it's always been, based on zip codes. Real mailers changes that. They do it by using some data. Now, I say some data. They can't use all the data because not all data could be verified. But here's what they can do. You want to target homes that are a minimum of 3 bedrooms. You want to target homes that at least last sold for more than $300,000. I don't want to market to anything under 200. They can market to homes based on bedrooms, based on last sold price. So you can target a certain price range. They could target the last sold year, meaning I don't have to send my postcard to someone who just moved in 6 months ago, which doesn't mean they wouldn't be ready to sell again, but I might want to strategically market my dollars to certain people. The nice part about that is you leverage their data. It's really simple. Just slide the bars back and forth. It picks around the area, but only those that have either 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms. Nothing perfect, but really darn close. You design or upload your postcard. So design it there and upload it. Pick the target area you want by selecting the criteria and mail. They do it for you out the door. Anywhere from 59 cents to 79 cents to 89 cents a postcard with their data out the door, done, which is fantastic. So for me, having that opportunity to not have to touch a thing, selecting my target audience. So let's say I've got buyers that only want 3 and 4 bedroom homes. I don't want to market to 2 bedrooms, or I only need a 4 bedroom up. Again, it might miss somebody that had a 3 bedroom converted to a 4. Don't get hung up on that details like that. It's better targeted than just broadcast buckshot approach. So they are truly doing a really good job. We want certain, the other thing I noticed actually, they now can do single properties and multis too. And I wanted to ask him that because the big challenge here is, people always wanting to find maybe tenants because they want to upgrade to first time home buyer stuff. You can't verify that data. So they're not there yet. And they don't want to even take a chance on data that may not be something as accurate as it could. But listen, it's better than broadcast, buckshot. All right. So that was awesome. Let's go down to someone I ran into that I think is providing a ridiculous valuable service. Wasn't displaying there per se, but look, we're always looking to find out how do I do better with what I'm doing. Our friend Andrew Fogliato of justsellhomes.com. Most of us are running Facebook ads and spending money on Facebook ads and just not getting results, or we're getting results. We're not even sure if we're doing it right. Look, I know how to run my own Facebook ads. It's still a bit of a science. Like, you've got to figure out like what is really working and what is not. And then do I change this and do I run an A/B test? And there's times where I start to think about it. And I said to myself, all right, if I'm just put me back in sales and production right now, and I'm going to go out and list, how many homes a month, and do I really want to spend the time running my own ads? And secondly, do I have the time to invest and not get returns? So Andrew and his team at Just Sell Homes have mastered that. I've talked to some of his clients that are doing stuff, and it's just simply, you pay them to do it. They get results. You get the results, go convert them into sales. Like, that's how simple it is. They know what's working. They know what's not, because they're doing it for dozens and dozens of other top producers across the country in different markets with different homes and different words. Words matter. Photos matter. They kind of know all that already. So I always say to yourself, if you're really going to take Facebook ads seriously, especially when people are talking about, hey, I'm spending 10 grand here with this one, or 10 grand on Zillow or this one, maybe you diverse yourself a little bit and get more into, let's see what this one's going to generate a return on. And let's face it, I don't care what product it is. If you're getting a return, you get a return. If you don't, you don't. You move your money to get a better return. So justsellhomes.com, doing a great job on running Facebook ads, and I shouldn't say Facebook, just Instagram, digital marketing ads, let's call it that, strategically for generating a return, lead generation, and conversion. And they'll do some other project stuff for you too, but it's focused just on leads. So check them out. On the flip side of that, we've got the major branding play, which I think is such a misuse of retargeting. Our friends at AdWorks, and so many people are like, oh, I've seen AdWorks, I've heard AdWorks, and I still laugh and I go, you're probably still using it wrong. And they go, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what are you using AdWorks for? Like, well, I get a listing and I put it out there, and my listing gets advertised. I'm like, okay, cool. Then what? What do you do with it? Like, oh, nothing. Like, I either wait for leads. I go, well, it's not lead generation. Like, you might get a call, but it's branding. If you haven't done AdWorks retargeting is like having your billboard out there, except now on digital and visual, where your consumers are. So I said, well, what else are you doing with it? Well, that's it. It just does it for me. I said, no, stop. I said, you have 500, 800, 1,000 people in your database right now. How often do they talk to you or see you? Well, they get my newsletter or something. Okay. Why aren't you running a sphere campaign with AdWorks, targeting just those people, just those 500 people, where they see your brand, your face, and stay top of mind for referrals all year long? Why aren't you doing that? Oh, I don't know. You get this, like, that's what you're missing. Think about it. Your customers don't see enough of you. Now you know why in 5 years when they go to sell their home, they forgot who you were. They didn't call you because they don't remember you. And you never stay top of mind. That's one way. The other way I'm going to share, because it's one of my favorite ways to share, and I usually do this in a live session on stage, but if you're paying attention to this, I'll be happy to share, is the listing product is fantastic. So the listing product is your house goes out. I mean, this is getting advertised on sites now like CNBC and the Weather Channel. Here's your name, your face, your brand. Okay, it's going across. And the homeowner of that listing has got to be super impressed because they're seeing their home advertised across those platforms. But we're missing the opportunity from a sales perspective is every day or every other day, if you're an AdWorks customer, you get a screenshot of that ad that ran on, MSNBC or whatever it was, the Wall Street Journal. To me, that is the most valuable piece of marketing. Those screenshots of me and my marketing with my homeowner or that house would be in my listing presentation, showing the homeowner how when I have the opportunity to market their home, I have the power of advertising across these major platforms. And I'm not just telling them, I am showing them right here. Here's what it's going to look like. I'd be happy to take your home and push it across these networks too. And we're missing those opportunities. So many people just like, yeah, I get some stuff and then I don't know what happens. Okay, so we miss retargeting. We just listen to it. We let it go. Nothing is just set it and forget it. Just get over that nonsense. It really isn't. You got to think about outside the box. How do you make it work, right? So our friends at AdWorks are there. 2 more left, and I'll kind of wrap up our session, or maybe ask some questions. And if you guys have anything, I'm looking through here. Okay, so real quick to go back a second. So Don asked about, can you search routes with seniors? No, I don't think it could determine age yet. Meaning, I guess, let's go back to, he was talking about probably real mailers. It can't search age bracket yet, and I don't know why. I might have asked them that question, or it might be in the works. But hey, they're pretty open guys and teams and gals over there that work there. What I would say is pick up the phone, email them. It might be in the works, it might be close, and maybe there's a reason. So reach out to them. Best thing I can ask to do, because it might be really close. Any other messages coming through? There's a bunch, but I will wait till the end. Okay, so websites. If you asked me 8 years ago about websites, dime a dozen, lots of them, from $49 to $99 to $1,000 to a lot of money. And I used to say back then, like when websites were just kind of evolving, like, why spend, $600, $700, $800 a month? I mean, unless you're going to go with a Boomtown or one of these, lead gen platforms. It wasn't something I saw big value in back then because it was just evolving. Now, what a difference in the space. When you're looking for something under $100, there's under $100, plenty of stuff, maybe under $79 a month. However, you're not going to find much value in it because it's more of a destination site. Sometimes it's mobile, sometimes it's not. And by the way, when people say they have a mobile site, no, I mean, it really needs to work on mobile. Like none of this, like, oh, I got some drop downs and I can't fit my finger on the thing. And it just because it displays on mobile doesn't mean it's mobile. I mean, that's why we're chasing people to Zillow, for crying out loud. You're pushing people to Zillow with a bad mobile site. Just telling you right now. So when you say, oh, my site is mobile, go give it to somebody to use and see what their experience is and go based on that. Ask 10 people, how does this work? And if it doesn't work that well, that's why they're leaving. So when it comes to that nowadays, so anything under that, anything between the $100 and $200 or $300 range almost is a void. It's not there because you can't build it today and make it really great. So you get to a certain number. So we run into companies now that have been around a long time building amazing stuff like Real Estate Webmasters. Real Estate Webmasters has been building, some of the prettiest high-end sites ever seen, ever built, custom SaaS products. Morgan Carey and his team, he's got Laura Monroe joined him now. They've been building stuff for years. And I've watched them, paid attention to them, love hanging with those guys. But now the value has come full circle to those websites matter. I mean, I'm talking, first of all, having a real site that looks not only pretty and pretty on mobile and pretty on all platforms, but that works. That works. That's now priced for the business-minded person. Yeah, you're not going to find it under $100, but it's going to generate leads. It's going to generate, have good opportunity for video content. It's kind of like anything you could pretty much imagine it doing in the highest level possible, now being brought down into the business level. When I say the business level, the $400 or $500 video, $400, $500 range and up. And I'm sure it goes up to thousands. However, they've gotten product for the mid-range user. I think it's called their Discover platform, where agents get sites as well. And I'm not talking just like landing page stuff. I'm talking like really pretty sites. You got to go check them out. And I never had that level of appreciation eight years ago, as websites were just being websites. It was Playster, it was this one, it was that one, just websites. So REW has done a tremendous job. Still doing I looked at their stuff recently. It's beautiful. Definitely worth a look. You can reach them there. Laura Monroe is their chief of, all things social and business development. She's a wonderful person to deal with. If you need to she'll just at least point you in the right direction, and you should look at getting something done. And it goes from there, custom. I mean, you can get custom to anything you want built through them. So we're watching anything that's a real big team or a brokerage that wants to really, really level up, pushing themselves into that kind of platform. And I'm sure there's features. Again, I could talk about features all day long. It's not the point of this session. It's to drive you into at least looking into the things that might matter, right? There's probably more, but last but certainly not least, we've definitely run into, and it's something I'll probably do a little giveaway here for those who are listening, our friends at Box Brownie. For those of you who've been hearing Box Brownie, me talk about Box Brownie, they've come up with product that's taking photos and editing things way beyond our expectations. If anything, if you have a photo now, and this doesn't replace it could, but it doesn't have to replace your professional photographer. But I've had people simply say, hey, my photographer does this, but I'm not paying for like a Twilight photo when I can get it done at Box Brownie in 24 hours at, I don't know, $5 or $10 or whatever it is. I'm talking, we have a very limited time to capture people's attention. It used to be eye-catching material. Some of you have heard me say this. It is now thumb stopping. You need to stop people's thumbs on the device. You've got seconds. If the right photo doesn't capture my eyes, you just lost me. And then I may never be back. So as the consumer gets faster and gets more absorbed by more data, the number one photo you better put forward better be your best one. And Box Brownie does not just that. I mean, I'm talking, they remove clutter off of the tables. So if you got countertops with clutter, they make it disappear. Somebody said, they were telling me a story. They had it's funny. They had an RV or not like a pretty one, like a junky old RV sitting next to the home. Guy was like, I can't move it. Thing's just dead. Won't move. Well, he sent the picture to Box Brownie. They removed the darn thing. Make it look like a driveway. I mean, obviously, when they get there, they're going to realize that, there's an RV in the drive. But the goal of marketing is to drive people's attention to call you, create a lead for you, to generate the activity so you can do your job and show and sell homes. They help visual marketing become the ultimate. And that's so glad and passionate they use those terms, because one thing I've been preaching a lot is digital to visual. The digital marketing days have been over. Okay, though they went away with the BlackBerry. When BlackBerry left, digital was gone. We keep saying we do digital this, digital that. To me, it's visual content, visual marketing, and a visual spin on how do we market ourselves better. So they can do everything from photo touch-ups to property rehabs, befores and afters, all sorts of things. These guys show up, they pay attention, they listen, and they've expanded beyond. One of the things they've shared with me I can give away as just a thank you to whoever listens to anything we talk about is $20 to go spend in their store. If you're a new client, if you're an existing client, I don't know, maybe email me, I'll try. But $20 if you want to go spend and try Box Brownie, boxbrownie.com. Wherever the coupon section is, I don't know on the screen where it is, use the code SparkTank, one word, SparkTank. Okay, you don't have to use Spark Tank Media, just Spark Tank, one word. Should put 20 bucks in your account to go spend, and try a few things out. Try mainly your front picture photo, the one unique photo you're going to put forward. Try a twilight photo, sunset photo. Add light to a lot of your photos, especially with cloudy days. Those are the things that matter. And don't spend any time trying to edit your own anything. Stop it. Go sell some homes. So I spent a lot of time talking, recapping. I mean, the big takeaway for me for the entire week, and by the way, it was a bitter, bitter cold week. It was like 0 degrees. Most people didn't want to leave the building, which was kind of good because either you went to the restaurant right across the street and you saw everybody anyway. But there's the whole point. To me, people looked at that as, oh, it was cold, it was bitter. When no one leaves, that means you have access to people doing hundreds of millions of dollars of business. There to talk, there to buy a drink with, there to have breakfast with. People from like Ben Kinney to the CEOs of some of these companies that are spending time hanging out, to the regular agent that's out there making the money, trying things out. To me, the values in the relationships, a lot of it happens after the sessions are done. You belly up to the bar, the dinner, the sushi, whatever you're going to go do. In this case, New York City. And you create not only new ideas, new friendships, but new deep relationships with people that live forever. I've been friends with people that I met for 10, 12 years now. Brad and his team have always outdone themselves. I'm going to stick around for a couple questions coming in. I got somebody that just sent me a private message asking me, hold on, I got a whole bunch of them coming in, about Facebook messages, are there any Facebook Messenger bots? Yes, there are. Not that I saw at the conference. Chatbot is one of them, Chatbot, and I think it's Fuel. Oh, I got to get the name for you. I'll direct message you back for Facebook bots. The Facebook Messenger platform is real big. I'm not so sure how these bots are working there yet. We got to be careful with bots. It's giving very, very cookie cutter answers. And I know AI is supposed to get better, but it's not there yet. So be careful with your clients. Just using it, you could just quickly turn them off as you are trying to pull them in. All right. So if you have any other questions, most of the stuff I've either answered through the session as I scroll through. This will hopefully be recorded. I'm going to email this to my clients as well. If you need to reach out, any questions here, jeff@sparktankmedia.com. For those brokers and agents on the calls, give you just a heads up, a little VIP plug. Is got a platform coming out soon, next couple of weeks, coach52.com. Coach 52 is 52 weeks of coaching for brokers and agents, or brokerages and agents, teams, whoever wants consistent weekly coaching at an affordable price. That's launching on our end too. And if I could ever help at any speaking events, talking social, sales, marketing, and strategies to go win business, feel free to reach out. We're getting booked pretty solid into the summer at this point, so we'll be looking probably more fallish, but totally cool. I'm looking to do that. So reach out, Jeff@Spark Tank Media. Come to my Instagram. Come like anything we got socially. Thrilled you paid some attention here for a few minutes. And a big thanks to the Inman team for putting on another great event. I look forward to their next one in Vegas. So see y'all soon. Thanks for spending time.